Last week, we started a topic on bullying, especially with regards to preventative strategies. And Taiwo Akilami is back with us to focus on the role of parents in preventing bullying. Well, thank you so much for coming back to the studio.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my great pleasure to be here.
I would love to differentiate between the bully and the bullied.
Well, I think I should begin by saying that bullies are not born. Okay. Bullies are not born, they are made. Okay. Even children, there are children that are said to be children with challenging behaviors. Talking to experts, we found that those children come from homes, violent homes, okay, where spouses have turned the home into a boxing ring. Okay. And so the number one thing is, that children are socialized according to the dominant examples that they see. So if somebody has a psychology of a bully, which means I must achieve things by force, I believe that what makes me strong is the ability to exert my energy in the wrong direction, to force people to get things done, to insist on my ways, to refuse to negotiate, because the opposite, the alternative to bullying, it's a lot of times bullying is a result of trying to get your way. Yeah. Bullying is as a result of trying to get attention. All of these things, you can get attention without being violent when you deserve it. So if you want to get attention without being violent, you do things that will call attention to you positively. You can get things done without being violent. So all of these things are things that children learn from home. For example, the way we deal with children. Let me give you an example. So let me say this. Someone says a child hits a child. You say the child is violent. A man hits a woman. You say the man is violent. A woman hits a man. You say the woman is unruly. But when an adult hits a child, you call it discipline. And so when you hit a child that way consistently, the child begins to feel that the way to solve problem is to hit other people. So and again, when we don't also teach our children that this is a mean world, very mean world, you don't need to do anything wrong for somebody to want to harm you. You may just be yourself, and someone is coming your way to harm you. So,
okay, can I take you from there? Yeah. So this issue of it being a mean world, yeah, the realities of life. Yes. I feel like we might be taking away the innocence of the child in order to protect the child. Is this what you're suggesting?
No, this is it. If we tell a child that car that you are looking at, if it's coming and you don't step aside, it could hit you. Okay. We are not destroying the innocence of the child. Okay. Now, it depends on how we pass message across to children. Now, we tell children about sexuality, their sexuality. We're expected to start telling them from when they're 18 months. We are not destroying their innocence. We are just telling them to say, this is your sexuality, this is your body part and all of that. The same way young people need to understand that in life is not a bed of roses. Okay. To understand that people will come at you whether you are the best person or you are the worst person. Now
I'm so sorry. I want to take you to an example from my end. Okay. I have twin girls. They're 5 years old. Yeah. If one of them comes to tell me another child is bullying them in school, what should my response be to that child?
The first thing is to let the children understand that you are not weak. Okay. You are not a victim. You are not the problem, no matter what you have done, particularly when you don't initiate bullying. A lot of times bullying happens because the other person who is bullying is trying to retaliate. Or somebody teases a child and the child feels that you have teased me, which is that one is emotional bullying. Bullying is not only when we go physical. Bullying can be emotional, it can be cyber, it can be, there's also what we call pack bullying. That is when people coming together
to gang up
against a person. So the child needs to understand that, number one, if the child has done anything wrong, we need to explain to the child, you should not have done that. But no matter what you have said should not be the reason why you should be treated this way. We restore the confidence of the child, because one of the things bullying does is to withdraw, is to get the child to stop believing in himself or herself. It affects the self-esteem of the child. So we need to talk to the child. Then the next thing we need to do, we need to approach the school. Because if it happens under the covers of a school, we cannot address it by just talking to our children alone. Then what the mistake parents make is that, so let me give you a very quick example. A parent's child was pushed from the top of the school on the staircase. And so she got home, the child got home, and all, you know, bruises all over her body. Then the mother went to school the second day to investigate, and the teacher denied that this never happened. And the woman said, look at the bruises on the body of my child. Long story short, the teacher admitted, please, ma, forgive me. Please, if you tell the school will ask me where I was when all of this happened. Okay. And the woman cooperated. Wow. With the teacher, which is the wrong thing to do. The teacher you don't have any business with the teacher. You have business with the school. It is the school that put the teacher in charge of your children. So what do you need to do? You need to report to the school. And what happened at the end of the day was that this woman did not report the matter, and this teacher will look at this child and tell other children, don't play with her. She's a fragile child. I don't want her mom to come back. And this child kept going home every day to say, Mom, nobody wants to play with me. Long story short, the woman had to withdraw her child from that school. And I told her, that is not the right thing to do. You caused the trouble from the beginning. You must understand that there are reporting lines, that are authorities within the school system which to report. Then again, within the school system, parents must be able to ask the critical question: what is your anti-bullying policy? How do you respond to bullying? How do you today I'm going to be in a school, this afternoon, today and tomorrow, talking to children about this subject matter, because this week is anti-bullying week. We need to, and what are we talking about? We're talking about how to respect each other, have respect for one another. That is for children.
So I want to go forward to targeting the bullies.
Yes.
So there are some who, in my opinion, are too far gone to pull back immediately. They've gone so far in bullying that they're doing everything from hitting other children, stealing their food, taking their shoes, even making them do their homework. These are far gone bullies. That possibly are able to cover up their tracks, even deny things, act very innocent, and they're still in these same schools. So how do we, remedy this particular situation?
What we need to do, we are in Africa, we don't believe in using experts.
Okay.
We believe a lot in, that you are a religious person. So do you become a medical doctor by just praying? I say, I just pray to become a medical doctor, and you just go and perform surgery. No matter who you are, there are experts in different, there are children's psychologists, there are children's psychiatrists, there are people working with children, but these are things we don't want to hear in this part of the world. I always recommend, I work with child psychologists. When I see that what this child is dealing with has gone too far, and we need to rehabilitate that child. And so that means that the child will need to sit down with an expert who will work with the child through a period of time. Now, if we don't do that, we find out, and what we can do is to subdue the child, suppress, because when we come, we threaten the child, you do that again and all of that. The child has not learned any lesson. What happens is that the child leaves that particular scene, and anywhere he or she thinks that, there's no such threat to him or her, he or she continues to be a bully. So
I want to possibly send out a warning to parents who are maybe ignoring the fact that their child is a bully. I'm going to use the word ignore. You said they're in denial, but I feel like some parents know, but because they are also bullies themselves, they're bullies in the workplace, they're bullies on buses,
bullies on the road.
They're bullies on the road, they have crazy road rage. They actually like the fact that their children are bullies. It makes them feel like their children are stronger than other people's children. So what sort of warning can we send to them? Because what are those children going to be in future?
Well, the number one thing is that our children, we produce after our kind. And we cannot reproduce our error in our children. We must come to a point where we recognize the fact that we've goofed, and our examples are not the best for our children to follow. And we need to first retrace our steps and begin to now help our children to understand, to understand that we have not been right all the time, and that we begin to they begin to see a different example from us, and we begin to teach them and talk to them along that line. There was a time I wrote an article in the newspaper, and I said children should not fight back. If you are bullied, one, don't fight back, except it's in self-defense. Maybe you are cornered and you need to escape. But if somebody hits you, if you hit the person back, an eye for an eye will make the world go blind. Report to the appropriate authority. I told this story last week where someone had been hitting me in class, and one day I got fed up, and I hit the person back, and the person began to bleed. Now, I had been the constant recipient of bullying. But the day I retaliated, nobody listened to me because the person that I hit was the one bleeding. And at the end of the day, my name entered the black book of the school. I went through a whole lot of punishments and all of that. Now, and again, in that space, the school at any point in time never sat us down when I was in secondary to tell us about bullying, anti-bullying, what we need to do, and a whole lot of that. So that is one point. The other point is that, so I wrote an article and I was telling children not to retaliate. A parent, a couple of parents, wrote rejoinder and said, my child will retaliate. Don't tell my child not to retaliate. Okay. Anybody who hits my child, I've told my children, anybody hits them, they should hit back. I said, okay. I responded by saying, so what kind of culture are you building? Your children are going to grow up, they're going to be in a workplace, they're going to be in a marriage, they're going to be, do different things. So what you are saying that is in the workplace, if somebody, hits them, or somebody says something to them that they don't like, they engage in a shouting match and they make the place ungovernable. Now, two wrongs don't ever make a right. You don't get your right. Force does not achieve anything. There's no people who become violent, they don't get anything done because at the end of the day, by the time you retaliate to violence, the person who dished out violence, who came at you in the first instance, must have had a plan before coming at you. And so when you retaliate, now he reinforces. Maybe you don't even have a reinforcing plan, and you find out that the situation escalates and there's trouble. So the foundational thing therefore is that we need to understand as parents that number one, we need to prevent bullying. How do we do that? Number one, we need to let our children know that it's a mean word out there. We need to let them understand that they cannot position themselves to be the bullied, because a lot of times, when you don't have self-confidence, when you walk and you look down, when you talk to people and you introduce yourself and they're not even sure whether you are talking or you are murmuring, and at the end of the day, you post and a bully, whether an adult, a young person, whether verbal bullying, whether physical bullying, whether cyber bullying, they profile you first. There's nobody who comes at you does not first profile. After profiling and they find that you are weak, and they attack. So
in other words, parents have a huge role to play in this issue of bullying. Yeah. There's still so much more to discuss. Please give us your comments and contributions online as soon as you can with the hashtag WakeUpNigeria. Thank you so much.